Built in Eastleigh 1941, the Canadian Pacific is a prime example of local heavy engineering. Built for the Second World War, it was used for troop and freight movements.
My name's John Wood. I'll spell it for you, John-W-O-O-D. I'm a volunteer on the railway, but usually I just come here as a visitor. Usually my volunteering, or all my volunteering, is done at Eastleigh Works, which is where just at the moment the flagship locomotive for this railway is being rebuilt. It came off the railway because there are laws about particularly the boiler. The boiler is like a very large kettle. The boiler is being worked on here at Ropley, where we're sitting today.
So at the moment, the locomotive isn't running. It's under what we call a 10-year overhaul. So every 10 years, the boiler behind me needs to be taken off. Inside the tubes, which carry all the hot air through the water space to make it distinct, they need to be replaced and they need to use other works as well. Now, Canadian Pacific's boiler has gone on for a bit longer than anticipated. Initially, when you start taking a boiler apart, you do non-destructive testing, NDTs we call it, ultrasonics, to see what the state of play is inside. And essentially, a lot more needed to be replaced than was initially thought. So on the back, where the firebox is, you have two parts. The outer firebox is what we can see at the moment, and then you have another bit called the inner firebox, which we can actually see from one of the other engines here. The inner firebox, that's where the fire actually is. They're separated with little spaces called stays. They hold them in position, and they also hold that boiler pressure. It's remember 250 pounds per square inch of pressure. The whole inner firebox needs to be replaced, so it's a massive job, and it's the outer as well. Aside from all the tubes being replaced, you then have 2,500 stays which needed to be replaced and put back in. So a lot of drilling, reaming, tapping. We have a fantastic team of staff and volunteers who've been working pretty much non-stop to do this.
Still up and running, however, is its sister train, Manston.
I've come alongside this engine because this one, in a lot of respects, is very, very similar to Campak. When Campak was originally built, it had exactly this form, very, they call it an air smooth casting, and they also had a habit of catching fire. Below this line here, there is very, very little difference between Campak, Canadian Pacific, and what we're looking at here. These pipes are what is carrying the water. The big tank at the back, the tender, is full of water, but that water has got to get into the boiler, ultimately to be turned into steam. They were very, very efficient, very fast, very powerful.
What is the experience like?
The reason that I came to volunteer, it just fulfilled a childhood dream, really. Like every kid at the age of 9 or 10, being a steam train driver, an engine driver, was a glamorous thing, and probably most of the other kids of my age also wanted to do the same thing. And then, by good fortune, I came to live in this area, in this district, and just down the road, here you have a heritage steam line, and I get to fulfill, I've got a reasonable amount of leisure time, so I get to fulfill a childhood dream, and I can play about with a big steam engine. That bit of volunteering is the bit that I like.